To begin the application, select the Early Voting Site Analysis button at the top. Select the county that you wish to analyze. The next step is to select the text file with the early voting site addresses and click OK to begin. The application will begin to geocode the early voting site addresses. It also selects only the county census block centroid points of the county to be analyzed. Once the points have been selected, the application will zoom to the county to be analyzed. Once the early voting sites have been geocoded, the application begins to calculate the distance between the early voting site and each of the census block centroid points. It then determines the nearest early voting site to each of the census block centroids. After that, the application begins to run through the calculations to determine the mean or the averages. It first calculates the mean distances, then it calculates the mean accessible hours at each nearest early voting site. The last group of processes performed include the results for each early voting site. It also includes the creation of the final data table as well as the hotspot raster data sets. The process for this county only took slightly over a minute. However, larger counties could take up to an hour to process. The early voting sites are now color-coded differently. In addition, each census block centroid is colored the same as the nearest early voting site. The green is colored with the green for the green early voting site. The red colored with the red and yellow with the yellow. One of the added features of the application are the hotspot layers. These hotspots represent areas where there is a significant distance from the early voting site and a significant amount of population for a particular population group. The example shows areas with significant Hispanic population that are significant distance from the nearest early voting site. Finally, the results of the analysis are presented in the final data table. The final data table can be printed out as a report. It includes the results of all of the major processes that the application executed. Contained in the report are voting age population totals and analysis results of each population group, including total distance to the nearest early voting site, mean distances to the nearest early voting site, and mean accessible hours to the nearest early voting site. And lastly, the report contains results on each early voting site. It includes the total voting age population of the nearest census blocks, the population group makeup of those blocks, and the persons per hour ratio for each early voting sites. This concludes a quick tutorial of the application. Thank you.